I'll stop here and ask questions, if you all have any questions. Yeah? Ratnadika?
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. Was Sandipani Muni related somehow to Purnamasi and Madhumanga?
Yes. Purnamasi is Sandipani Muni's mother. And Madhumangal is the other son of Sandipani Muni, whom Purnamasi actually took to Vrindavan.
I also had one more question. You mentioned that Krishna, being from the Yadu dynasty, couldn't become the king, but then he became the king of Dwarka?
No, he didn't become the king. Ugrasen was the king. He was the prince. He was the prince of Dwarka. Yes, Anand. Yeah?
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, thank you for a wonderful class. Point I was actually meditating on, you said that when, in case of the mummified in Egypt, they mummify, as you said, in the olden days. So instead of, the soul is ghostified, not actually mummified. But if we read Gita and, in Bhagavad Gita 15.8, Krishna says that at death, the soul transfers from one body to another as air carries aromas. So in this case, how come the soul is not transferred and it's ghostified?
You see, because when one remains very attached to the material nature, he cannot go to the next destination. The subtle body, after death, it generally tends to go to by nature's arrangement, go to the next gross body. And that body develops in the womb of the mother. But those who are very sinful, or those who are extremely attached to the material situation, they cannot actually free themselves from that attachment. So their subtle body keeps on hovering in that situation, and that is called the ghost body.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Were we ghosts in one of our previous lives?
What's that?
Were we having ghost bodies before, or between one body and another body? Do we have a ghost body or something?
Yeah, you can say that. Like that the transition period from one body to another body is called a ghost body. In Sanskrit it's called preta body, preta sharira. Like the Shraddha ceremony is to free that person from the subtle from the bondage of the material nature and make his journey to the next body easy. So that is the purpose of the Shraddha ceremony. So the mantra actually says that the preta of such and such person has come to receive this. Like the offerings are there to fulfill his desires. You see, in the subtle body, the cravings are there, the thirst is there, hunger is there. So, and these feelings are there. So, the purpose of the Shraddha ceremony is actually to free one by offering right ingredients or right elements to free one from that bondage. And the best way to free is by offering Krishna Prasad. See, the subtle body has hunger. So he wants to eat. And when he gets Krishna Prasad, he gets a chance to free himself from all his sinful reactions. So that is the best way actually to perform the Shraddha ceremony. So you get the point, like between two gross bodies, the transition period, one is in the subtle body, made of mind, intelligence and false ego. The gross body is made of 5 gross elements, earth, water, fire, air, ether. So death, at the time of death, one leaves the gross body. But the subtle body carries the soul to the next body according to the shape of his previous activities. Okay, raise your hand. Okay, he has a question here.
Hare Krishna Guru, you mentioned that when Krishna chooses to play his pastimes, he chooses his devotees to play every role, including that of the demons.
Generally.
Yeah.
There are two ways actually. Say for example the devotees, those who are playing the role of devotees. Sometimes Krishna's associates come and play that role. And sometimes the devotees practicing in the material nature, when they become qualified, achieving perfection from sadhana to siddha stage, then they also get a chance to take part in Krishna's pastimes. And this is how they achieve perfection. Same thing with the demons. Sometimes Krishna's associates plays the role of some demon, and sometimes a real demon gets a chance to play the role of a demon in that.
Okay. So in Kamsa's case, was he also, initially an associate of Krishna
Who?
Kamsa. Was he...
In this case it is Kalnemi. He was a real demon. Kalnemi was born as Kamsa.
Also, if Kalnemi was killed by Krishna, then demons killed by Krishna get Sayujya Mukti, generally. So he
from Sayujya Mukti one can come down. Then again, the subtle body situation. After losing one gross body, to get another gross body, one can be in various situations. So this being in Sayujya Mukti is like that. Like for example, Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha. They had to wait for one whole yuga to get another body. So where they were? They were in the Brahma Jyoti. Yeah, you have a question? Okay. No, I was asking her. Sukumari, do you have a question?
What is Pitrilok then? This is people going Pitrilok. What is Pitrilok?
Pitrilok, the forefathers have they're different. In higher region there are different areas where like Gandharvas, Kinnaras and so forth, Devas. So similarly in the higher region there is a region called Pitriloka. The Pitris are there. Yeah, you have a question?
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. After Krishna was sent to Vrindavan by Vasudeva, were Vasudeva and Devaki released from imprisonment by Kamsa?
No, Krishna released them from. Oh, you mean...
You mentioned when Keshi was killed, Vasudeva was
Then
killed.
Vasudeva and Devaki were free.
They were free? Okay.
Yeah, because after Jogomaya announced that, that Kamsa would not be able to kill her, she just slipped out of his hand, and then she announced that Krishna, that the one who will kill you has already appeared. So then Kamsa started persecution, but he begged forgiveness from Devaki and Vasudeva.
Oh, okay.
And released them.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Maharaj, thank you. You had mentioned about the soul. In childhood, it is firmly connected with the body, and then from that point on, it slowly starts to disconnect from the body as we age.
Gradually. The point is, at the prime of youth, the soul's connection to the body is in its prime situation, the most intense.
And what are how do I say this? What are the, not symptoms, but what are the signs that...
What is it?
The signs that are there any kind of signs or experiences that
The
someone
sign
has.
is the body becomes weak.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
When the soul's influence on the body is most intense, the body is most, kind of full of vitality, let's say. The vitality keeps on diminishing with old age.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Thank you, Maharaj.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. As you said that the Vedic tradition is to burn the body, but then why we see that our acharyas that we have to bury their body like Rupa Goswami, Sanatana, we have their samadhis.
Yeah. Because it is understood that their bodies have become spiritualized. Right? And that's why they're preserved, not destroyed. You see, there are two conditions. You can consider there are two situations. One is remaining in the subtle body, and the other is becoming free from the subtle body also, but remaining in one's spiritual identity, pure spirit soul. And that respect, the example has been given by Prabhupada that iron, when it's hot, when it becomes red hot, is it iron or fire? So similarly, when the body becomes spiritual, when one becomes when one achieves the spiritual perfection, then his body is not material anymore. It is spiritualized. Yes.
Thank you, Maharaj, for the class. I had a question from this morning's Bhagavatam class. I was thinking differences between Vaikuntha and the Golok Vrindavan, and I had three questions. Whether there is Ananda in Vaikuntha, I know the 5 rasas are not there, but if there is Ananda, which is what we are all looking for.
Yeah.
Second question is, if we go to...
let me just deal with the first one. Yes, Ananda is there, but there are different degrees of Ananda. Right? Like when one is situated in Brahma Jyoti, that stage is called Brahmananda. It's some, being situated in Brahman realization, there is some ecstasy, there is some joy, there is some Ananda. But that is of a lesser degree. But the highest degree of Ananda is from Premananda, developing one's loving relationship with Krishna. And compared to Premananda, it has been described, the Brahmananda is like a water in a hoof print of a cow. If Premananda is like an ocean, then Brahmananda is like water in a hoof print of a cow. So you see, water is there, but the degree is differing. Ananda is there, but there are different degrees of Ananda.
Can a living entity fall down from Vaikuntha as well, as compared to Golok
Krishna
Vrindavan?
is saying that Jad Gatvana Nivartante Stadhama Parama. When one goes there, one doesn't come back. But whether we came from Vaikuntha or Vrindavan or Brahmajyoti or nowhere, we don't know. Right? Therefore, our consideration is that now we are here. Let's not waste our time to figure out where we came from, because we'll never be able to understand where we came from. Because the reason for our fall down is not in the material context, it is in the spiritual context. Therefore, Prabhupada said, don't waste your time where you came from. Consider where you have to go. Where you have to go. And Jad Gatvana Nivartante. Going there, one doesn't come back. And in that respect, Prabhupada said that once beaten, twice shy. Once you have seen what it is like here, do you want to come back again?
My last question is, to go to Vaikuntha, is the way Harinam, or are there other process of devotional services like Archa Vigraha that can take you, because the mood is awe and reverence? So what's...
Say, come again, I couldn't get
the way to go to Vaikuntha. I know for Golok Vrindavan, Harinam is the way to go to Golok Vrindavan, but for Vaikuntha, is Harinam the only way, or can you go through other processes of...
The thing is that, you see, there are two types of bhakti. Vaidhi bhakti and Raganuga bhakti. So Vaidhi bhakti, when one achieves this perfection through Vaidhi bhakti, then one goes to Vaikuntha. And when one achieves perfection through Raganuga bhakti, meaning following one of the residents of Vrindavan, Anugami, Anugaman, following one of the residents of Vrindavan, one executes the devotional service. That is Raganuga bhakti. And that takes us to Vrindavan. So the process of Sankirtan is actually Raganuga bhakti. Vaidhi bhakti is transforming into Raganuga bhakti. That is the way to go back to Golok Vrindavan. Who is next? Quite a few questions. Okay, those who didn't ask, yeah.
Maharaj, my question is, I know soul, there's a spiritual body. While being in material existence, the soul actually carries a spiritual body, or is it only when you realize or when you perfect?
Good question. Yeah.
Devotion.
You see, we have two types of material bodies. Two material bodies. Gross and subtle. Right? This body is a gross body, made of 5 gross elements. This body is made of earth, water, fire, air and ether. Right? And beyond that there is a subtle body made of mind, intelligence and false ego. Right? So at the time of death, we leave our gross body, but the subtle body remains. Subtle body doesn't die. Right? Like, gross body dies, meaning at one point we leave it. But that is not the case with the subtle body. The body consisting of mind, intelligence and false ego remains, even after death. Subtle body doesn't die, but subtle body can be transformed. Subtle body, you can say subtle body can be dissolved and get into its original state. And that is when, say, subtle body is consisting of mind, intelligence and false ego. When the mind is constantly thinking about Krishna, man mana bhava, man mana bhava. Krishna is instructing, with your mind, you constantly keep your mind absorbed in me. So that when the mind is completely absorbed in Krishna, then the mind is spiritualized. You get the point? Is that when the mind is constantly thinking of Krishna, is it material or spiritual? Then Krishna is saying, Teshang shatata yuktanam bhajatam pritipurvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam. When one is constantly engaged, satata yuktanam bhajatam pritipurvakam, rendering devotional service with love, tadami, I give him buddhi yogam, transcendental intelligence, so to say. But then what happens to intelligence? Is it material? Spiritual. And then in this way, when one becomes engaged in serving Krishna, what happens to his false ego? When one jiver swarup hai Krishna nittada, when one is situated in his Swarup, where is this false ego? You get the point? So in this way, when one becomes engaged in devotional service, one becomes situated in his Swarup. That is a spiritual identity which is totally free from the subtle body. The subtle elements now have been transformed and spiritualized. So that stage is called Swarup Siddhi, perfection of one's Swarup. It is also called Jivan Mukta stage. Iha jasya Hare dasye karmana manasa gira nikhilasyapi avasthasu Jivan Muktasa Uchyate. In this way, when one becomes engaged in serving Krishna, Hare Dasya, Karmana Manasa Gira, his activities, his mind and his speech are always engaged in serving Krishna in devotional service. Nikhila Sapi Avastharsu, under all circumstances, he is to be considered to be a liberated soul, Jivan Mukta. Yes, Sudhakar. Sudhakar, and then at the end, yeah, go ahead.
Could you comment on homeschooling for our kids?
Comment on?
Homeschooling.
Homeschooling. I have to really shift from one channel to another. I'll deal with it some other time, not now.
Krishna Guru Maharaj, this is regarding the class in the morning as well as you touched on this afternoon. The Mathura Vasis, when they see Krishna coming, they see according to their capacity. So ladies see Krishna as Cupid, and then unintelligent people see universe form. And then how it's the difference then, what is the difference that Yashodamai is seeing Krishna when Krishna eats dirt? She sees Krishna in her mouth, and what is the difference, the Mathuravasi seeing Krishna in that way and then Yashoda seeing when Krishna...
Who is seeing? Mathuravasi is seeing Krishna in which way?
Walks into... when they're walking on the road, they see Krishna coming and they visualize some forms.
Yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
And then Yashoda Mai also sees Krishna when Krishna eats dirt. That time she sees Krishna's mouth, everything universal and everything. What is the difference that they both seeing? Is there anything specially?
You mean that seeing the universal form?
Yeah. What is the difference that Yashoda Mai is seeing?
The difference is that those who are unintelligent, according to that, they are attached to the universal form. Whereas Jasodamai, although she sees the form, she didn't become attached to it. She is attached to this two-armed form of Krishna. That's the difference. Okay, give it to him. Krishna Archan. And then Rangaradhika. And I think, okay, we can take a few more questions here. Who? Okay, okay. Okay. Okay, so you take it according to the serial order.
Guru Maharaj, there are some great devotees like Hanuman who are in Dasya Rasa, want to serve as a servant. I just wanted to ask why Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually, when he Dasya, he basically accepted only the three rasas.
Where did you find that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu rejected Dasuras? No, he did not reject. He said Dasuras, he said Iho hoy. That is true. It is right, but tell me beyond that. He didn't stop at Dasuras, but he accepted Dasuras. Who is next? Ratna Radhika is next.
Guru Maharaj, the pure devotee's body is spiritualized, pure devotee's body. So how should we understand when we see the pure devotee, the body being apparently sick or tired or like this? How should we see that?
Yes, although the iron became red hot and became fire, still some iron quality is there. Right? Does it answer your question? Or did everyone's laughter subdue you?
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. I have two questions. The first question is like the girl child of Yashoda Mai, is she Subhadra Mai or like Subhadra Mai was the daughter of Devaki?
Subhadra was the daughter of Devaki and Vasudeva.
Okay. And the next question, Maharaj, is if somebody did not have a Shraddha ceremony, so how would they release from the ghostly body and move on to the next body, or like how do they migrate?
Bad luck. That's the thing, that's why the Vedic culture is so important to be. That's why we have to spread, to create the good fortune for the living entities all over the world. Because, remaining in ignorance is not bliss.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
You have a question, Pramanjana? Okay, next week.
My question is about the nature of love. So earlier this morning, during the Srimad Bhagavatam class, you said that in Vrindavan, this is the highest love that is possible, and basically the residents of Vrindavan, they love Krishna so much that they don't care that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then you compared it to a love of a mother to her son who became a president. So of course that's very clear that to her, he is her son first of all, and she doesn't care that he's the president. At the same time, when we think about Krishna, we understand that we love him because he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because he is the most attractive, the most opulent, the strongest, he is the best of the best. So it's kind of hard to realize, do we love him because of that, or can we just love him regardless of the point that he is the Supreme Personality?
Okay, let me ask you, have you fallen in love with him?
I'm in the process.
In the process, yeah. So the more you recognize his attractive qualities, the more will develop your love for him. Right?
So my love is constant.
Love is a natural thing. You cannot artificially impose it. Right? It has to develop on its own. All right? Mm-hmm. Like, what are the features that are attractive? And see, attraction and love go hand in hand. Attraction causes love, isn't it? Does one fall in love with something that is repulsive? No. One falls in love with something that is attractive. So the attraction is the feature that causes love. And the attractions are of 6 types: beauty, strength, opulence, knowledge, fame, and renunciation. And Krishna has all these 6 to an absolute extent. Therefore he is all attractive. But the thing is that we have to become exposed to those qualities. Right? And that's why, it starts with hearing. We hear about Krishna and we become attracted to him. And the more we get to know his attractive qualities or attractions, the more we develop our love for him. Okay.
Thank you.
Guru Maharaj, if Shraddha ceremony is done to release the subtle body, I watch my parents do it every year for my grandparents. Why do they have to do it every year?
Since when they are doing it?
Growing up, I saw them like they would do every year in September, October, when those days they did the Shraddha ceremony.
Well, there's no harm in doing that.
And do we do Shraddha ceremony for departed devotees, or is it Karam Kanda?
The devotees, we do it after one leaves his body on the third day. We do it by offering Krishna Prasad. And then on a certain day, we generally do it to the forefathers, and that's called Bhishma Panchak. And the month of Kartik, when it ends on the final day, the offering is done to Bhishma, because you see, it is the descendants that perform the Shraddha. But Bhishma did not have any offspring. Therefore, we take it upon ourselves to offer that to Bhishma. And along with Bhishma, we do it to the forefathers, all living entities who are departed. Let everyone benefit. Sarve Sukhina Bhavantu. Who is next? She has a question. Then give it.
Thank you. This temple is very dedicated to Krishna, and knowing there's many different forms of him, knowing Ram, Shiva, and I was wondering that is there a specific reason that this temple is more focused on Krishna and his story rather than Ram, even though they are the same God? Why is it just Krishna's story that's so focused here, not Ram's and Shiva's and others?
Yeah, because it needs a long explanation, right? Okay, in simple words, I'll say that you see, whatever we do it according to the scriptural injunctions. From the scriptures. It's not just whimsically we are doing something. The scriptures saying that Krishna is the original supreme personality of Godhead. If we don't want to get into that far, we can simply say Krishna is Leela Purushottam. Leela means pastimes. His wonderful activities, they attract everyone. Right? So, Krishna is Leela Purushottam, and Lord Ramchandra is Marjada Purushottam. He is establishing the principle of morality and ethics and so forth. Right? So when it comes to, like this consideration of, right action or morality, then yes, Ramchandra is the perfect example. Same person, Krishna and Ram, there is no difference. Same person. But when it comes to Krishna, then his pastimes, and these pastimes, what happens? Through the pastimes, we get joy, enjoyment. So when it's a choice of these two things, strict observance of rules and regulations and morality, or fun, joy, now which one you would opt for? At least we have opted for fun. And
Thank you.
that fun is, that fun leads to a loving exchange. Can you imagine how wonderful it will be to develop this loving exchange with the Supreme Personality of Godhead? So that's why we are worshipping Krishna. But in our temples, many temples have Ramchandra also in our altar. Like here, as you see, we have Jagannath. It's not only Krishna. There is Jagannath there, Lord Nrsingadev is there, right? Similarly, some other temples, like if you go to a temple in London, you'll see Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman. You go to our temple in Bombay. Have you been to Bombay? Okay. When you go there, visit our temple there. And you'll see Radha Krishna is there, but along with Radha Krishna, Lord Ramchandra is there. Thank you. Where are you from? Oh, you're from Nepal. Oh, okay. Okay, very good. Kathmandu? Then?
It's a refugee camp. My parents, and then it's this program called IOM that brought us here. Very programs.
Okay, very good.
Guru Maharaj, I may be just hearing it wrong, but there's a verse in the 10th canto which frankly frightens me more than anything in the 5th canto. And it's when Krishna disappears from the gopis, and it's due to their pride. And to my memory, they're talking amongst themselves, and oh, how fortunate we are. Is that right? How fortunate we are. And it always shocked me because it seems to me that by recognizing one's good fortune, there's an inherent gratitude there. And I never understood how it's prideful to recognize the gift. And again, it may be just the way I'm hearing it.
Yeah, I will say that consideration is with the gopis, and we have a long way to go. So right now we don't have to worry about it. Like even if there is some pride in being a devotee of Krishna or receiving this mercy, it's all right. Because that is at the highest stage, like where it's actually a loving exchange taking place, right? Like it's, the first consideration is that this particular gopi got upset. She left. And when she left, Krishna also left. All 16,000 gopis. But then when Krishna was carrying this gopi on his back, and at that time she had this feeling, oh, I'm so fortunate. So then Krishna left her also. We have to understand it is just an intense loving exchange that this kind of dealings are going on. So be proud as such of being a devotee of Krishna is perfectly all right. That pride is actually giving us the conviction of our commitment.
Okay, thank you.
So I will, last question. Okay, so no question. Thank you very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Gaur Premanande.